know what kind of women you used to dealing with, honey. You should have met your match with me. You can't feed me no line. It ain't that far. But why would you go sleep with another man at the direction of one man?
To make him happy.
You all both look miserable. I can see the look on your face, Mr. Nelson. You decided in your mind that it's possible for you to have both of these women.
This compelling case highlights what envy can make people in a family do. Ms. Hicks' sister comes to court as a strong witness to support the side that claims that baby Honesty isn't Mr. Smith's daughter.
I know I've only slept with him, and I know who my children belong to. Like,
I know for a fact that he was not the only one she was sleeping with. I guess you're there in the same bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people, I guess.
A family jewel is not the only drama happening in this case. Mr. Smith claims he has a medical condition that prevents him from being able to father a child.
Explain.
I used to work out a lot, and one time I strained myself too hard, and I had to go to the hospital, and the doctor told me that I couldn't have kids, that my testicles had dropped by that time.
This medical state is quite fascinating. Mr. Smith claims that Ms. Hicks cheats on him by sleeping with multiple men.
Once her son was born, she was cheating a lot of time with multiple men.
How he finds out about this unbelievable news will leave your mouth hanging open.
You know that for certain?
Yes, Your
How
Honor.
do you know that? Explain.
Her sister used to tell me that she used to sleep with this guy and that guy, and I didn't believe her at first, but until it started coming to me about the dude she talked to all the time, friendly with.
Mr. Smith submits potential evidence that leaves the audience in shock, but Ms. Hicks claims she doesn't remember these facts.
Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Smith?
I went through her phone and found text messages, and it said when I can get that kitty cat.
Oh, you saw a text message?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
And you submitted your recollection of that exchange to the court. The other guy said, I missed that kitty cat. And Ms. Hicks responded, you know he leaves, so you can come over anytime.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't even remember that text message, Your Honor. I honestly
I bet
do
you
not
don't.
remember
I bet
this
you don't
text
even remember
message.
when.
Mr. Smith claims to remember a scenario where he caught a man jumping from Ms. Hicks' window. He explains the situation, and the audience reacts.
That dude jumped out the window.
Yeah, the guy jumping out the window situation.
What happened?
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
But a guy just jumped out the window, but you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly.
Pitiful.
And so wait, were you there when the guy jumped out the window?
Oh,
Ms.
yes,
Hicks?
ma'am. I was in my car. I'm looking at him run through the field.
Mr. Smith's happiness in discovering he's a would-be father is short-lived. He claims he faked it all. He knew he couldn't have a child. Apparently, Mr. Smith named the baby Honesty. The striking resemblance between Honesty and Mr. Smith is not easy to overlook, but results will tell.
Faking it to her, but I know in my mind that
Faking it?
I can't have.
Oh, you were faking it to her?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is no way anybody can fake anything. I mean, at the hospital, you're there. He was like, oh, she looked just like me. She's so beautiful.
Well-respected Dr. Gator sheds more light on the condition Mr. Smith claims to have that closes all gaps to him being the father of Honesty.
So hypogonadism is when the body doesn't produce enough testosterone. You can either be born with it or you can develop it later in life, usually from things like infection or an injury to the testicles can also cause it. But nature gives us 2 testicles, and so usually it has to be a profound injury to not one, but both testicles to actually cause hypogonadism. But many males still produce some testosterone. Testosterone is the signal for the body to produce sperm. So it may affect his sperm count, and it really just depends on how low the sperm count and if he has enough sperm to actually be able to father a child.
Mr. Smith likes to show off Honesty to his family, but he doesn't believe that she is his daughter. The reason he does this is quite hilarious.
You feel that a child is not yours, you're not gonna take this child to all your people. You're not.
Why are you taking the baby around your family, Mr. Smith?
Because I raised her own son as mine, and I don't like people like that to be deadbeat.
Ms. Hicks finally reveals her genuine emotions as she explains how her sister's actions make her feel.
And now I have to prove paternity of my daughter, stating and showing that my daughter is his biologically.
And I can see that hurts you.
It devastates
Why do you say it devastates you, Ms. Hicks?
Because it's coming from my full-blooded sister. We have the same mom, same dad. And I don't know why would this come from you anyway. As close as we are,
Carlisha.
We're very close.
It's an emotional moment for Ms. Hicks, and we can sense that the results are about to be read. At this point, even the judge plainly states that the resemblance between father and child is striking.
They say sisters argue, fuss, and fight, and you all have proven that right.
And the result reveals.
When it comes to 3-month-old Honesty Smith, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are the father.
What next? Thank you so much, Your Honor. I'm so glad that I came here today to get these results.
The court session of Mr. White and Mrs. White begins with an emotional father who claims he is not the biological father of his 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
I just can't be with somebody that's going to constantly cheat on me and have me raise somebody else's child. Savannah has the right to know, and I have the right to know.
And you love this little girl.
Yes, I love her to death.
3 years.
3 years.
And so she looks to you, you're her father, you're her daddy.
Yep, just the other day she was at my mother's and she woke up and she asked, "Where's Daddy?"
And I can see this is just tearing you apart.
It is.
It's just eating away at you. I can see that.
Mr. White is in a distressing situation and needs to be sure the children are genuinely his because his wife cheated on him just a week after their marriage. As we know that everyone always has excuses for their actions, whether good or bad. So let's hear the reason why Mrs. White was cheating on her husband.
Yes, but I have abandonment issues because I was adopted. So if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need, and I'm not trying to make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong, but I just want him to show me love and affection and be there for me and hold my hand in public and just be there.
Despite all the cheating, Mrs. White doesn't want to let Mr. White go. She resorts to threatening Mr. White. Let's have an insight into the outrageous threats put forth by Mrs. White.
I've tried to leave this relationship, but she won't let me leave. I've literally tried to physically leave, and she has stood in front of the car to where I couldn't leave, where she says, "I'm gonna call the cops and tell them you hit me."
What? Ms. White, you doing way too much manipulating.
Well, I'm just trying to fix everything.
The sacrifices Mr. White has made for his family will leave you feeling pity for the family experience he has had in his short life.
I think more than anything that I was more hurt because I done got attached to her. 6 months old, was there for the whole 9 months. I was the one that cut the umbilical cord. I watched her come out. I've been there for all my kids. I work 7 days a week. I work Monday through Friday doing my main job. Saturday and Sunday I'm doing odd jobs to provide for my kids because I want them to have a better life than I did.
The evidence Mr. White submits to prove his wife's infidelity is quite surprising. Disturbing sexual texts and photo exchanges will make you want to scream your lungs out.
Ms. White says, "My body's naked, wishing you was in this bed with me." The ex-boyfriend texts back, "LOL, you are crazy, about to call you in a minute." Oh, this is another guy. This is not the ex-boyfriend's name. He says, "Laying here horny," and you say, "Ms. White, I know, me too." Ms. White says, "You can bring me some cigs, LOL, Al's a blank. And give me a Valentine's Day treat, because Al not gonna do blank."
It is not easy for Ms. White to accept full responsibility for her actions. One would think that she would confess at this point with all the evidence, but Mrs. White is quick to dismiss the fact that she slept with her ex-boyfriend. The judge is quick to tactfully bring out the truth right from the horse's mouth.
Tell me what happened behind that story, Ms. White.
We didn't even do anything on Valentine's Day. We just sat there and talked. That's all we did on Valentine's Day.
He sends you a picture of his penis and you go over and talk?
Yeah.
Jerome, they must have changed my name to Boo Boo the Fool down there on this thing.
caught in a corner, Mrs. White confesses to sleeping with her ex-boyfriend on February 14th.
Did you sleep with the other man in February on Valentine's Day?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the truth is that because of this, you do not know for certain whether the child you're carrying is Mr. White.
No, I know it's his because around the time I got pregnant, I have not slept with nobody.
It is shown that Mrs. White brought the case to court and not Mr. White, and this courtroom's proceeding isn't looking in the favor of Mrs. White. Tears stream down the face of Mr. White as the DNA test results are being read.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
How do you feel, Ms. White?
Relieved.
The results were pleasing to hear, as it was determined that Mr. White is the biological father of Savannah and all the other children.
Natalie, Mr. White, you are her father. Is for Drew. Mr. White, you are Drew's father. And this last result was a prenatal test for your unborn child. But this court is pleased to say, Mr. White, you are the child's biological father.
The court opens with the case of Ms. Thomas and Mr. Nelson. This case shows that a long-term relationship with children may not necessarily be worth fighting for. The switch from being the victim and innocent to adding to the tension was swift in this case. Ms. Thomas sure knows how to pull in the audience.
It was rocky, but I was not sleeping with different men. Mr. Nelson was the only one that I was sleeping with at the time, especially during my conception date.
Man, that's
But
not-
when
No one has ever gone wrong when they keep track of things. The next scene is solid proof of that. Thank you, Ms. Thomas.
So you were tracking your cycle.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Was this
Honor.
with the intention of getting pregnant or not getting pregnant?
He actually wanted me to get pregnant.
She told me
so
on
on my
she did
tracker,
all them days like that because she
on
was
my
having unprotected sex
no,
with that guy.
on my tracker,
She
Your
said,
Honor,
so every
as
time I
you
messed
can
with
see,
him, she said that's why she every time she had sex with him, that's why she put it on the calendar like that.
Ms. Thomas discloses fully to Mr. Nelson that she cheats on him. The atmosphere in the courtroom is getting tense as the audience's and the judge's facial expressions change to this information.
he was gone, Your Honor.
So wait a minute, how did you find out about the other guy exactly, Mr. Nelson?
I told him.
She honest. I'm not gonna lie. She do be honest.
I told him.
So what did you say? You just came to him and said, I have something to tell you?
We weren't
He
having
would
sex.
act.
We was never having sex
We
no more.
we
2
weren't.
months go by, 3. I'm like, I started calling my friends and stuff. I'm like, yo, if your girl don't have sex with you for like a whole month straight, what can you do? They was like, what do that mean? I said, is it over? They was like, bro, she messing with somebody else, bro.
And you were?
I was.
Ms. Thomas drops a bomb that we didn't see coming, but the evidence she claims to have on Mr. Nelson and herself. This new information riles up the audience.
You told Mr. Nelson you were pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
What was his response?
He was going around telling everybody that I was pregnant. Up until the time he met Miss Campbell, that's when he started denying my son.
And the appearance of Mr. Nelson's wife and her side of the story shed more light on the relationship between her husband and Ms. Thomas.
When you found out that your husband was now sleeping with his ex,
It's a video I found. The video is dated April 3rd, which would have been the first day or so that she had showed up in Greensboro. All I know is I saw her demeanor when she came around, and she was kind of like high-stepping. I'm like, okay, this is a person that's supposed to be so hurt. Like, why is she grinning? And then I saw his demeanor, and he looked guilty. So I put 2 and 2 together, something's not right. Why is she extra happy and he's looking crazy?
All home training is forgotten, as both women now feed us with in-depth definitions and meanings of the words side chick, mistress, and wife.
your wife discovered a video of you having sex with your ex, now mistress.
Yes. No, I made a slip up.
Comfortable from going from wifey to side chick.
No, I'm
It's
not
weird.
nobody's side chick
And it's
because
weird.
your husband is the one that tells me
It's
he
weird.
wants to leave.
But that
me.
makes you a side
For me,
chick.
No,
That
it
makes you a
doesn't.
side chick. We're
No, it does
legally
not.
married. That makes you
No,
a
it does
mistress.
not.
Listen,
No, it does
listen,
not.
listen.
The judge quickly calls them back to order, and what she says should get them thinking about if their relationship with Mr. Nelson is worth the stress. The audience agrees with the judge.
You all both look miserable. I can see the look on your face, Mr. Nelson. You decided in your mind that it's possible for you to have both of these women. And they let you. You're not gonna sit up here and fool me, because let me tell you something. I don't know what they fighting over.
Finally, the judge asks the most critical question we were all looking forward to. The chaos of this case is weakening. Ms. Thomas may clarify what the point of this case is.
So what are you hoping for now? What do you want out of this?
I want him to leave me alone, honest. If he's gonna make his marriage work, let your marriage work. I'll try to move forward with my life. He texts me. He calls me and tells me how much he misses me and wants to be with me.
Right.
It's not the other way around. And I have messages.
Your Honor, all right.
And if he wants to be with me...
Did you bring the messages to court with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
The famous statement, "the truth is bitter," is well associated with this case. As we move toward the climax of the case, it becomes an emotional battle for both women. But the judge always has the fitting conclusion and advice.
You need to be honest. You're all in this. So you can't point a finger at Miss Nelson and say, "Oh, I'm glad I'm not you," because you are her on the other side of the mirror.
The results shatter the wife, but it seems she isn't ready to let go of her marriage. Ms. Thomas's reaction proves that everything about her relationship with Mr. Thomas isn't over.
When it comes to 8-month-old Jakai Thomas, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Nelson, you are the father. It's number 5.
This story has quite a twist, and everything gets heated very quickly.
But why would you go sleep with another man at the direction of one man?
To make him happy.
Ms. Arbogast slept with a man Mr. Vess asked her to sleep with while dating. She obliged to make him happy. Let's start from the beginning of this dramatic case. Ms. Arbogast and Mr. Vess had a son together before she became pregnant again with Kinsley. Mr. Vess has rarely contributed financially to his son's life, and here is why.
So if you don't have doubts about the older child, why are you not at least providing for that child?
I have been providing for that child, but recently I have been having bills and everything else that, you know.
How much money do you say you've contributed to Kinsley?
Kinsley, probably $100.
The children are familiar with Mr. Fritz as a father figure, even though he is not their father. Let's hear more about what the children benefit from having a father figure like Mr. Fritz.
Let me understand this. And Mr. Fritz is your current boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so he's the person helping you raise Mr. Vess's children?
Yes. He's the one who they wake up to every morning. He's the one who takes them out, does things with them, plays football with them. He does the father role, not Mr. Vess.
Mr. Vess gave Ms. Arbogast an outrageous task that left us wondering where he got the information. As Ms. Arbogast enlightens the audience, Mr. Vess quickly denies the accusation.
You say Mr. Vess told you?
Yes.
The only way to break the connection you had with this friend, but
Told
he
him
says
come
you
pick
need
me
to go
up.
have sex with him.
Yeah, to break the emotional and physical bond of friendship that I had with this man. But then he decided, but the whole pregnancy.
Who gave you this advice, Mr. Vess? Where'd you come up with this?
No, I never said that. That never came out of my mouth.
Oh, yes, it did.
Ms. Arbogast claims to have slept with both men in the same month, but she is confident that Kinsley is Mr. Vess's daughter.
So wait, how did this happen then? You just go up to this guy and say, my boyfriend says we should have sex.
It was late at night. He came and got me. We went to the lake and, well, we went to the gas station, bought condoms, went to the lake, did our deal, and I went back home and got in bed with him. Took a shower and then got in bed. And he was all good.
A new claim is up, and Ms. Arbogast says she was already pregnant before she slept with the other man.
I was already pregnant at the time I had sex with this other man. He's sitting on the couch in the hospital, holding her after she's born. He held her before I held her.
This woman reeks of confidence, and it will be a shame if it turns out Mr. Vess is not the father. Now, Mr. Vess's girlfriend seems to be a witness to Ms. Arbogast telling Mr. Vess that he is not the father of Kinsley. We just need the DNA results at this point.
Ms. Glover, I'd like to know if you know anything about when Mr. Vess found out that Kinsley may not be his biological daughter.
I don't know if it was out of anger or what, but yes, she did say it shortly after they broke up that Kinsley was possibly not his.
In cases like this, the word jealousy is never left out. Both men don't disappoint in using the term, as each tried to make and stand on their point of view.
And Mr. Vess, you're just jealous because you got replaced as a boyfriend and as a father.
And you will too.
Oh,
In
no,
a matter
we
of
won't.
time, you will be replaced.
Oh, no, we
3
won't.
boyfriends in how many years?
I've had 2
3.
until him.
The claim on who requested a paternity test first is passed all around. The pressure is getting worse, and we can't wait for the results. Mr. Vess's facial expressions have been that of irritation and vexation.
I even asked him to go and buy one of those $35 kits off the shelf DNA paternity tests that you do at home and then you send it to a lab. Oh, I don't have the money for that.
Okay, but if you're the one begging for it, why didn't you go out and get it yourself?
Because you're the one who denies her.
Ms. Arbogast shows the first piece of evidence. She gives the court text messages between her and Mr. Vess. The texts leave the judge and audience disappointed at Mr. Vess's careless words.
Mr. Vess responds, I would claim that thing if I knew she was mine. Ms. Arbogast says, oh, so now she's just a thing. A thing? That could potentially be your daughter.
I shouldn't have said it. I was angry. And yeah, I regret saying that.
Mr. Vess thinks there is a resemblance between Cameron and Kinsley, but there is none between himself and Kinsley, which is why he believes he is not the father. What logic? The result of this case is quite a relief. The truth is out and justice has also been served.
When it comes to 2-year-old Kinsley Vess, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Vess, you are the father.
I see.
As she grows up, Kinsley can have a reliable knowledge of who her biological father is.